What's up guys? Welcome to AnimeKouhai. If you'd like to help me out, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel.
I considered urging him to go buy it, but I reasoned that there was no need to be so frugal, so I made the decision to simply share the recipe we came up with, keeping secret what Yoshida-san had informed me.
Shuna, could you explain how to make it later to the two people in the next room?
Yes, of course.
We should agree to do it in the future because you'll need to use quality ingredients.
Even the sugar has been processed to remove all contaminants. A quality that was on par with what I had in my previous life was produced by the collaboration of my commitment to good taste and the technological know-how of Kaijin and the others. We had enough for our own delight even though there wasn't enough to sell in the market. I would increase the production a little bit and make sure Guy gets some as well.
Are you sure?
Yes, of course.
I was serious. In terms of our products, much alone our technology, I was not prepared to cut corners. I was concerned that if Guy entered and exited our nation, there might be more problems, but that wouldn't be a problem since he had individuals like Misery who could manage a portal. We wouldn't have to worry about transportation if we provided the materials. I also had other goals in mind. The safety of our nation will be guaranteed if Guy finds us useful. The stronger our relationships with other countries, the more secure we will be. There wouldn't be a need to employ force against one another if there was a mutual need. An economic circle was similar to a powerful military coalition. That was my hypothesis. I wished to avoid conflict with Guy, therefore the more cards I held, the better. After all, I'd never been so cautious of my adversaries before. Maybe it happened the second time after I met Veldora. It would be too much bother if we got into a battle with them, whether or not I could win. As long as it didn't cause too much trouble, I was willing to respect Guy's viewpoint. Guy might ask me to do something risky in the future, as he did this time, but I'd simply have to deal with it. There was, however, a limit to that. Guy was not the dictator I had imagined him to be after our many chats. He was unexpectedly sensible and considerate. I could see his diligent side in the way he was handling Diablo. I had faith that he would see how beneficial we were and refrain from making any outrageous requests. I therefore hoped he would return home soon. Guy's remarks mercilessly broke up my small wish.
Wait, I have a question for you before I depart.
What? What else has happened?
What's that?
What has caused Diablo's evolution?
Surprise. I guess it was naive of me to think it wouldn't be discovered. This is why I dislike those who are keen observers.
Oh, that's...
What must I do? How do I respond to Guy's query?
There are more besides Diablo, right? Ramirez's labyrinth made it difficult for me to decipher the clues, but once I did, I couldn't help but wonder why this place is teeming with true demon lords.
Guy smiled as he asked me this, but his eyes did not grin at all. I guess my feeble attempts at deceit were doomed to fail.
Answer. It is safe to say that this is the outcome of the Master's experiments with the gluttonous King Beelzebub power.
Heaven's voice can be heard now. Alright, let's go with that. The Wisdom King Raphael-san, as expected. King Raphael, a trustworthy advisor.
Actually, about that. In preparation for the last showdown with the Empire, I've been playing around with my abilities in the hopes of bolstering my forces. And, as it turns out, my abilities have an intriguing effect.
Oh, what sort of effect?
What sort of effect does it have? I'm not sure. Wisdom King Raphael, teach me.
Answer. This effect transforms souls into energy and distributes them to individuals who meet the requirements for awakening. If you explain to Guy Crimson that this is how forced evolution is fostered, he will agree.
You have it exactly right. I wasn't trying to hide anything. I was only telling the truth that the evolutionary ritual was based not on the might of the Wisdom King Raphael, but rather on the gluttonous King Beelzebub. That very well could be the best answer.
Gluttonous King Beelzebub, my power, can turn someone's soul into energy, and I can distribute it to other people. For individuals who lack the necessary qualifications, it is a pointless deed.
Does this imply that someone who has the Demon Lord seed is capable of awakening? That's incredible.
Guy didn't need to hear everything to be persuaded, likely because the justification was accurate. It was all possible because of Wisdom King Raphael-san.
Well, I suppose. Quality wins out over quantity in this world of conflict, right? It makes perfect sense for us to develop our unique skills.
That is reasonable. Also, I've always been curious about you, but you don't seem normal, do you?
Huh? I'm perfectly normal.
Not at all. Normal slimes are speechless. Before, I didn't give it much thought, but whatever it was that you did to convince Veldora to support the growth of this community, it's unusual. Are you not a reincarnated being?
Oh, you didn't know that? I passed away in another world and came back as a slime with my awareness.
Really?
Really.
Guy and I exchanged intense looks. It turns out he was ignorant. I assumed that Tail was well known by this point. It was not a secret, but rather common information and generally known throughout the Western nations. I had assumed Guy was aware of it. It may be prudent to presume that the other party is aware of all relevant facts. Not quite an understatement, but going forward, I would pay attention to it. I'd have to be careful not to mistakenly reveal information by providing something unexpected.
Seriously? That is true, yes.
Rimuru-sama isn't telling lies.
Hey, why are you acting so suspicious? Even getting approval from Benimaru and Shuna.
That's fantastic. I assumed you were an unusual monster, but I wasn't prepared for it to turn out that way. It's rare to be reborn in this world, and even rarer to be reborn as a monster. Do you really had no luck at all?
Guy was laughing uncontrollably. It's not really amusing.
That makes sense, though. A soul must be able to train its core if it can cross the threshold by itself while maintaining its memories and ego. I can also see why you are so fixated on your human form, and it's conceivable that this is because you evolved unusually quickly and learned the ultimate skill.
In conclusion, I guess I had a strong mentality. I suppose so. If I do say so myself, I'm a fairly strong person. I always have an optimistic outlook and I never give up.
Hope you can now accept it.
Yes, I've always suspected you of being untrustworthy, but now I realize I can rely on you.
That is incredibly rude. Yet I do pardon you as I am powerless against you. Furthermore, it's preferable to being viewed like an adversary. This is an example of thinking in a positive way.
Well, it would appear that your suspicions were correct and that you received the information you were hoping for. You'll probably want to return.
I'll have another of these.
Of course.
I was about to request that he leave immediately. Guy, however, rudely interrupted me and demanded a second cake. Shuna spoke casually in response. I was forced to request yet another piece of cake. The cake's deliciousness made me feel better. I believed so, but Guy forbade me from doing so.
Let's return to the story we were discussing previously, Rimuru-kun.
I recognize it. This is unquestionably undesirable.
Huh? What story?
Tell me about how you awakened your men. It sounds like you could delegate some of your power to my subordinates based on what you just said. Can you do that?
This man. Is he really the same as me? For instance, he always seeks to maximize the value of anything that is beneficial. The manner in which he abruptly shifts to the point after you've finished speaking, catching you off guard. No, I'm not as obvious as this, right? I'll lose the instant I begin to care about it. More significantly, I need to respond to Guy's query. I'll inform him.
Answer. It is feasible.
It responded before I had a chance to ask myself a question. I was a little depressed. It appeared to be attempting to convey to me how worn out it was from dealing with me.
Answer. There is no such intention.
It appears to be a little, irritated. Because I had already offended them, I didn't want to do it again. I can only rely on Wisdom King Raphael-sama, and I have no recourse if it abandons me here. So, that begs the question. Is it okay if Guy's servants don't have a soul corridor connected to me?
Answer. Yes. Even monsters that do not belong to the soul lineage are now subject to forced intervention. As long as the target qualifies for awakening, you can support its evolution by applying energy to it, under the condition that it does not resist.
Got it. Then, there is just one issue remaining. The quantity of souls I possess. I'm not sure how many guys he intended to awaken, but if I were to be missing something crucial, it would be difficult.
There doesn't seem to be a problem. It should work, but we won't know for sure until we give it a go. There isn't enough energy left in me to share, though.
I replied in a way that allowed me to decline Guy's offer without insulting him. In actuality, I still had a little bit over 100,000, but Guy couldn't possibly be aware of that. He was about to give up, I knew it.
Oh, so if you have souls, you can do it, right?
Well,
No indications that he is giving up?
In fact, I once gave roughly 10,000 souls to Misery, but I concluded that it was all for nothing because they didn't respond or exhibit any signs of awakening.
Demons were really skilled at transferring souls, weren't they? But, wouldn't this result in their awakening?
Answer. In order to support evolution, the soul must be transformed into what it should be and adapted to the target. It is impossible to effectively utilize the soul if it is simply given to the subject. The energy efficiency is relatively low when it is given to others, therefore the soul's effective value is just about 10%.
I see. You must appropriately hydrate the Demon Lord seed in order for it to sprout. Even if you know how to do something correctly, whether you can actually do it or not is a different matter. Would it be preferable for my minions to awaken voluntarily in that situation?
No. A higher being will alter the nature of a creature it names. Even if the soul was acquired on its own, it will not be awakened.
In other words, when naming happens, the evolutionary path is closed. Just getting qualified required a lot of work, but there were also unforeseen hazards. Most monsters, however, may not qualify, and evolution by name was also extremely prevalent, so it was difficult to determine whether or not it's a good or bad thing. In any case, a named monster won't be able to use the souls it has collected to get the energy it needs because its nature will have changed. Guy didn't appear to be aware of that, and I was impressed by Wisdom King Raphael-san's expertise. It is in fact a great instructor. Oh no, not at all. Although I was being very serious when I praised it, it may have been interpreted otherwise. It was time to move on now that I had the answer to Guy's question.
So it was Misery-san. Have you also tried it with Rain-san?
I told you that you can call them anything you want.
That was an order, not a request.
I'll do it next time. So, in regards to those two people, didn't you give them a name?
So you are aware of that. That's correct.
So that's the explanation, then.
Huh?
It appears that when one is named by a higher being, his nature changes.
So, that's what took place. The souls I gave them all became useless at that point. So you can modify your energy to match the characteristics of your foe?
I struggled to explain it to Guy, but he got it right away. Furthermore, he was entirely correct.
That's pretty much it.
Then I have to ask you for a favor.
I just had a feeling that it would go this way. I was beginning to understand Guy's character. Guy was asking me with a purr, but he never once considered that I would say no. I wanted to say no, but I was too scared to. I had no choice but to heed Guy's request since it was just too terrifying.
I just wanted to let you know that even if you have all the souls required, you won't be able to evolve if you don't meet the conditions.
No issue. Both of them have met the requirements for awakening. So kindly awaken them.
Guy explained how useless they were in their current state. Guy's standards appeared to be a little odd. Misery and Rain, according to what I've heard, are primordials, like Testarossa and the rest. To say they are useless would be an understatement.
That's it for this video, guys. Thank you for always watching my videos and supporting my channel. Shout out to the new members of AnimeKouhai supporters: Ma'am Wang Min, Vastolord, Martin Ramos, Marl Barsha, Ralph Ignacio, Chris Nelson, Karen, Mark Charlie Els, Hansel Ortega, Yellow Wally. Thank you so much for helping out. I'll see you guys in the next video.